And good day. Thanks for joining us on Truth for Our Time. I am Tamara Scott. We're going to have a couple of interesting guests for you today. First on the docket is Gail McWilliams. If you've not heard Gail, you will appreciate not only the truth of what she speaks, but when you are done, when you're finished listening, you'll be in a happier, uplifted set of a mindset. You'll just appreciate the truth that she has for us, and it's given in a delightful and inspiring way. That's a rare gift to be able to give, especially with so many things facing us today. Second on the docket is Linda Harvey. Linda has been a guest on this show, 3 studios ago, as we've been on air for a while. She has a keen insight on what's happening in our culture and forecasting what we need to be ready for as parents in the guarding of our children, whether it's a New Ageism, witchcraft, homosexuality, feminism, whatever that ism is that's coming at our kids, usually in the public schools. So we'll be talking to her a little bit later in the show. First, I just want to remind you, happening this week, Informed Choices, if you want to go onto Facebook, Informed Choices is having banquets across the state. Not just one where you have to travel. They're coming to you, to a location near you, and Gail McWilliams is the guest. If you've never heard her, I guarantee you it will be worth your drive, worth the gas for you to go. So for more information on that, I would invite you to go to their Facebook page, Informed Choices. I think they have a website as well. Gail McWilliams has a website as well, gailmcwilliams.com. And she's on Twitter at Gail McWilliams. So I would invite you to get information on those. The reason I'm telling you to go is because my mouse pad has frozen, and I just had it fixed. I just got it back from the Apple Store in September. So really interesting that this is happening. But I can't guide you to it, and I can't give you the information because I can't get online. My mouse pad's frozen. It's kind of funny to watch. The other event that I wanted to share with you is YWA, Young Women for America, a branch of Concerned Women for America, will be having an event on Saturday at the Airport Holiday Inn, Saturday the 25th of October, 9 to 2. Good information for young women, high school, college age. When you're on that campus and things start coming at you, this organization will be there with information for you, networking across the nation, other students who may be dealing with such issues on their campuses, plus resources from the experts on several or variety of issues. So 9 to 2, several speakers in Iowa. Chelsea Patterson from Concerned Women for America and Young Women for America will be there. Oh, Ryan, you are awesome. You bypassed my bad mouse and you got it up on the screen. Thank you so much. But if you're conservative and you're looking for help on your campus, this is a great way for you to find it. This Saturday, 9 a.m. at the Airport Holiday Inn. And if you want more information, I'm going to give you an email. Here it is. It's Chelsea Patterson. So it's just C from her first name, Patterson at cwfa.org, cwfa.org, concernedwomenforamerica.org. So you can get information there, or you can just stop in and join us that day. Ryan, you are awesome. C. Patterson at cwfa.org, right across the screen for those of you who are joining us on webcast1live.com. Now, you know the routine. We're going to take a break here. We're going to thank our sponsors, Christians for America, the Crave Ministries, speaking truth, helping people find deliverance from those lifestyle habits that have caused them destruction, turning that destruction into deliverance. And so we're so thankful for their truth and also bringing cultural truth into our everyday lives, just facing the issues and talking about them and bringing you truth. So we thank them for their sponsorship, Webcast One, who powers us. We thank them as well. We'll be right back with our American Family Radio listeners when we come back after these messages. Stay tuned.
Get away from us, you mean old credit card. We don't have any more money. We're in trouble now. Save us! Help! Somebody save us! Somebody help! Help! Save us!
Hi, I'm Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of Des Moines. If your credit card's a little too animated, give us a call.
Hooray! We're saved! Consumer Credit, you're our hero!
Metro Ford's on everywhere. Metro Ford's on everywhere.
See 'em here, see 'em there. You got bad credit? We don't care.
Metro Ford's on everywhere. Metro Ford's on everywhere. everywhere.
Visit emetroford.com for your guaranteed credit approval. Good credit, bad credit, no credit. Everybody drives with guaranteed credit approval at emetroford.com.
Metro Fords are everywhere.
Visit emetroford.com today.
Hey, psst. Let me let you in on a little secret. You ready? Always try to do business with people, not places. Especially if you seek honest Christian business people. And when it comes to my car, I really need to trust who's working on it. Now, my family is so blessed. A few years ago, we found a family-owned automobile repair shop that operates as a Christian business also. Open, honest, reliable, trustworthy. It's Amco on Hickman Road in front of Kmart. And it's a family-owned Christian operating business. This family treats your car as if it was their car. Everything from oil changes to transmission repair and everything in between. So the next time you feel the need to be at peace with your choice of who you can trust with your car, give Amco on Hickman a chance to serve you. And tell them Max sent.
Restoring hope, open my heart to sing, taking the darkness inside, revealing your light, restoring hope.
And Ryan, thank you so much. Ryan Northfield is my producer. I am Tamara Scott, joining you and giving you truth for today. And Restoring Hope is the banner in which you hear us on American Family radio stations across the nation. And my thanks to Mac for sharing his air with us and allowing us that time to come to you in a variety of locations. Today, my guest joining me is Gail McWilliams. If you have never heard Gail McWilliams, I would invite you to, one, head to her website. Very simple. It's just her name, Gail McWilliams. And you can also follow her on Twitter at gailmcwilliams.com. But she has a wonderful story, and I'm just going to let her tell you the story. But Gail, thank you so much for joining us.
My joy, Tamara. How are you today?
I am very well. And every time I get to hear you speak, Joy, I am better. Or Gail, I am better because of the joy you give.
Oh, well, you know, so many people ask me, Gail, how can you have the story that you have and have so much joy? And I guess we'll address that in a moment once they hear the story. But first of all, it's great to be in the state of Iowa, where I am at 5 different banquets. I believe the next one is Thursday night in Ames, and Friday night in Des Moines, and Saturday in Fort Dodge.
Yes, and for those of our listeners who are hearing the show live on Wednesday a.m., 10 a.m. Wednesdays, you can always join us and join in the conversation live at webcast1live.com. Then you have time to catch Gail at one of those banquets. For those of you who are hearing the show on American Family Radio and the other stations that broadcast us across the nation, you will have missed those banquets, I am afraid, but you'll get to hear Gail today.
Well, the interesting thing is to come and blanket a state. And the wonderful state of Iowa here in the middle, the heartland of our nation, which really has such great influence. But I love their theme, it's Together for Life. And it seems to fit well our story. Tamara, we were told, my husband and I, his name is Tony McWilliams, we've been married for 36 years now. But we were told at the very beginning that we would never have any children. And we have 5 children, 4 daughters and a son. We celebrate family and we value life. But life for us cost something extremely great, because with the birth of each of our children, I gradually lost my eyesight. And so the challenge and the devastation and clearly the disappointment of this bittersweet moment. You know, we beat the odds. We had children, but in the course of doing that, the loss was great as well. So how do you do life when you don't see? And I just want to tell people that, you know, most people live life based only on what they see. And to me, that's a major disability, because it's about living life with vision. When you have vision, you can see in the darkest places of life. And learning how to be a blind mom, oh, my goodness. You know, I was asking the children the other day, did you ever think you were being raised by a blind mother? And they said, never. They said, you had more eyes than any normal mom. And so the challenge, though, also became our richest treasure, because we learned how to work together as a team. And that was incredible. And there were things we didn't take for granted. And, you know, I think for parents as well, sometimes we're moved by what we see with our children instead of being focused on the destiny and the purpose and really the privilege of having life. You know, Tamara, what you do, what I do, anybody else could be doing that. They're not. It's us. And so if it's us, then this is our hour. This is an incredible gift. And I would say that to anyone listening today. You know, anyone could be doing what you're doing. Anyone could have your position, but they don't. It's you. And so if it's you, then guess what? This is your hour, and you can do life with joy. And so many times people say to me, Gail, how can you have so much joy and you can't see?
Right.
And I ask them, how can you see and have no joy?
Perfect question. Perfect question, Gail. And you talk about the influence that each of us have for this moment, in this time, in this location. And we have so many things facing us as a culture right now. And of course, we're looking at an election time and people are wringing their hands. And I think you have the clearest vision of most, being able to see straight to the Father. And that's where our help comes from. But I have to share this. As I was posting your joining us today on Facebook, they gave me a warning that there might be an unsafe link, and it mentioned Gail McWilliams. Please remove the link or security code. Gail, you've been deemed unsafe?
Oh, well, I guess so, because, you know, joy is contagious. And it's sort of interesting, you know, in our nation, there's so many people that are paranoid of life, and I just want to ask why. What on earth would make you afraid of life? First of all, it's a gift. I love it that it was God's design. He was the creator of life, the giver of life, the sustainer of life. In fact, he gave his own son so that we could have abundant life, and after this life, eternal life. It seems like God himself really doesn't care what's politically correct. He's all about life. And I would think that anyone listening today is wanting to improve their life. You know, the truth of the matter is, most people have no joy, they have no expectation, and they just think their life is an accident. And therefore, most of them just simply survive and exist. But the truth of the matter is, you can engage in living. In fact, not long ago, I was speaking at a football stadium in Louisiana. And as I was being escorted out to the field by my husband, on the way out, I said, Tony, where will I be standing? And he said, the 50-yard line. And I thought, oh, that's perfect. It just came to me all of a sudden. So after I greeted the people, I'm standing there on the 50-yard line, and I said, I find it interesting and even profound that where I'm standing today is where most people live, on the 50-yard line, in between two goals, halted between two opinions. One represents a victory. The other one represents a loss. And there they stand. They're paralyzed. They're afraid to move forward because of the pushback of the culture. They're afraid to move forward because someone may criticize them, or they're all consumed and all they're focused on is the failures of yesterday. And they're wishing somebody else would come along and play this game of life in their behalf. But instead, they stand, they look at their options, they're overwhelmed, and so they walk off the field content to sit in the grandstand and criticize everyone else or observe everyone else while they're living life. And I asked them that day, and I'm going to ask all your audience as well, Tamara, what would it take for you to get back on the field of life and play it with all your might? I mean, think about it. We've got one life, and most people are just waiting around hoping something happens. And I know for me, when I began to lose my eyesight, I wasn't sure, how could I go on? How could I live life? How could I be the wife my husband needed? How could I be the mother my children needed? And for sure, who was going to call on me to carpool? and you know, the obstacles of not seeing. I've walked out with the wrong man before. I've gotten in the wrong car. I've corrected children who aren't mine. You know, the misunderstanding of anyone in our society, like when people find out I can't see, then they'll talk louder to me. I can hear perfectly. I just can't see you. But then thinking about it, guess what? I'm your best friend. Everyone looks great to me. And I see potential. And I think that's what we've overlooked. We've overlooked people. We've failed to see the potential of our own lives. And definitely, we're short-sighted when we realize we've been strategically positioned for this hour. And the question is, what are we going to do with it?
Well, Gail, I think you're outlining for our listeners, we who have perfect sight, or we who can see, have so many things clouding our vision in our way. We're so caught up in ourselves and just the routine of the day that we're not, one, probably looking to the source of our vision, to the source of the plan for our life. We're not asking enough, but we're so busy with everything we see that we have no time to vision what could be.
It's so true. And I've got to tell you, my schedule is crazier than probably most people listening. I'm on the road constantly. I speak around the nation, from everything from corporations to faith-based nonprofits, universities, all of that, because this is what I found in every market. There's people. My dear friend who wrote the foreword of my first book, or signature book, Seen Beyond, his name is Zig Ziglar. And Zig, I can remember one day sitting at lunch, and he said, you know, Gail, if you have a word of encouragement, you'll always have a gift to offer someone. And it's so true. What do people need to be encouraged in? Sometimes people need to be encouraged to say, like I asked a man the other day on the plane, I said, sir, what's your passion? And he said, I don't know. And I said, if you did know and you could get paid for it, would you do it? And he just turned his head real fast and he looked at me and he said, are you kidding? I've got 2 kids to raise. That'd be too risky. And I think that's where we live. We think, well, the passion of our lives is just too risky to live, so I'll go do something else. And we sell short our own dream. If I can just tell you, Tamara, even as a young girl, I had a dream, and I'm living that dream currently, even in the middle of the setbacks and the heartache and the loss that we've had, losing my eyesight, having our children. I was that kind of kid that never liked to go to bed at night. And finally, my parents would escort me to my room like bodyguards, put me in the bed, tell me at least I'm going to rest. They'd flip off my light and close the door. Well, I waited until they were gone, knew they weren't coming back, and I'd jump up on my mattress, and it became my stage. I'd take my hairbrush, flip it upside down, it became my microphone, and every night, my fantasy adventure was to travel with Bob Hope all around the world encouraging the troops. And guess what? I'm doing the same thing now. My platform continues to expand. I've always got a microphone in my hand doing something, TV, radio, or speaking to audiences. And I'm out still encouraging all the troops on the front lines of life going, you can do this. And I still travel with hope because hope always sees.
Gail McWilliams is my guest. If you've not heard Gail before, I would invite you, one, check out her website, gailmcwilliams.com. I would invite you to follow her on Twitter at Gail McWilliams. But I would invite you to take a challenge and see what it would, what would be involved in bringing her to a church near you, a library near you, a community event. Bring her in because, as you can hear, she will inspire, encourage, and help those around you live with better sight. She gives a vision to everyone she speaks to, and we're better for having listened. Gail, you hear it, I hear it in the headlines. People are uncertain. There's so much fear amongst those in America. There's so much unrest around the world and in America. What would you say to the average mom and dad who, just as you say, the man you met on the plane, just want to raise their families? They're unsure that they can even take a risk and do what they'd really enjoy, might really profit at, might really, really be able to bless their families doing, but they're just so uncertain about it. What would you say to those people?
Well, if I can set up the story by backing up a little bit. You know, the day, Tamara, when the doctor came in, I was carrying our second child. I was nearly 4 months pregnant. The doctor had seen a change in my iris, and the reports all looked bleak for my future. And the doctor said, I had to choose that day. He said, you have to choose between your baby or your eyes. And so the choice is made. I choose my baby. I couldn't imagine the question I was being asked. And he said, what a foolish decision, as he slammed shut my folder and walked out, and I sat alone. I had to make a choice that day. I believe it was an informed choice because I'd read many years earlier that in our life, we have choices, blessings and cursings, life and death. Choose life. And I just want to say that that put me on a course, I believe, that's given me the stamina and the confidence today that choosing life then wasn't just about a small child, which is our second-born daughter, who now is the mother of our only grandchildren. How exciting. But there were 3 children that followed her. And I would like to say that based on that decision, I believe that I can tell you with confidence that the decisions you're making today will impact the next generation. As you walk in fear, I want to challenge you that I believe your focus is on something else. For instance, the other day when I spoke in Colorado, and behind me was this huge big window, and I just, in the middle of my presentation, said, "You guys are spoiled rotten." I said, "Every day you get to see this gorgeous mountain and skiers coming down it and the snow falling." And several spoke up and said, "Yeah, but there's clouds today." And I said, "That's the problem with you visual people. You focus on the clouds when you know there's a mountain behind it." And I want to say to everyone listening, maybe it was a long way to get to this point, but to tell you, I think your focus is off. There's always been wars and rumors of wars. There's always been the threat of terror. Definitely children have always been terminated or slaughtered. There's always been some kind of changes in our economic status. And there's always been regrets and heartache and losses that we've all had to work through. But the focus cannot be on the clouds that are moving and changing. You stand strong like that mountain, and you stand in hope. And together, America, in fact, we call America to greatness again, because it will take each individual, each family, each company, everyone who would stand up to say, you know, enough. We stand to make this place strong again, filled with virtue. And as far as the world goes and the things that are out of control, that's what we're the most fearful of. But what we overlook is what we do have control of today, and that's to show up. Get off the 50-yard line. Show up with joy. Show up with a confidence. And for me personally, Tamara, the difference for me that gives me hope even in the middle of what seems like hopelessness is a deep faith in God. Because I know things are out of my reach, but never out of His. When I face a dark way, I know what it is not to be able to see my way. And yet it doesn't negate the fact that there is a way to walk. And the fact that He's not only given us gifts and abilities, but He's given us a responsibility for this hour. And so the truth of the matter is, I think it's putting your focus, one, on the children that you have for you families, understanding that you're raising leaders that will impact their generation. And if we walk in fear, as all we'll do is get off the field, sit in the grandstands waiting for some kind of doom and gloom. No, why don't we all get up and be part of the answer that's coming? And the things that are out of our reach, we call on God Almighty to say, show us your mercy, give us your strategy, show us how to walk in wisdom. And again, we walk in a hope that sees beyond any dark spot.
Gail McWilliams is that wonderful voice of wisdom that you're hearing. Gail McWilliams was told she would lose sight with the birth of each of her children, and she's still determined to give birth, not just to one, not to two, but to 5 children, and today has grandchildren as a result and a blessing. Gail, and for those of you listening, if you want to hear the full broadcast of this show as an archive, you can go to Tamara Scott Live on YouTube. Tamara Scott Live on YouTube will have a link there for you shortly after we're done with the broadcast. And you can always contact us at Truth for Our Time on the Facebook page, Truth for Our Time. We thank Mac for sharing his air. We thank Webcast One Live for powering us, and Christians for America, the Crave Ministries, Christian for America, for making it possible for us to bring you someone like a Gail McWilliams and give you that hope. Gail, a lot of times you talk about sitting on that 50-yard line. People don't move off because they're afraid they'll make an error. They're afraid they'll make a mistake. We all make those mistakes, but what message would you have for those listening? Is it better to make the mistake and move forward than to do nothing at all and be paralyzed? What would you say to us?
Well, first of all, life is the classroom. Any mistake of the past, it doesn't define you. It simply refines you if you want it to. And that's really the question. So will you stand paralyzed by the fears and the failures of yesterday? Because a person who stands eventually sits down and then they do nothing. But the truth of the matter is keep going. It's from that platform that you've learned something that I bet you'll not repeat that mistake, at least if you've learned from the mistake. And so it's not really about the failures. It's about the destiny. Again, it's about the focus. As you said, Tamara, Everybody's had failures. Everybody's had regrets. There's so much in my life I think I would have done differently. And yet, it was those defining moments that I learned to continue on. And now, there is just a stamina, a determination, a tenacity that I don't think would have come except walking through those mistakes. And again, back to a faith in God, watching him redeem the mistakes and now use it for good.
And so, Gail, you talk not just about life, although you have such a wonderful testimony. Were you ever criticized because, as you say, the doctor walked out of the room and said, what a foolish decision? Have others given you grief because you chose the life of your children when you possibly could have kept your sight?
Absolutely. Tamara, I'm asked all the time in different ways, why would you do it? Why would you risk all to have children? Why would you make such a quote-unquote foolish decision? I've tried to wrap my head around what are they really asking me? And I've come to the conclusion that what I'm really being asked is, how did you choose between convenience and legacy? And in my book, legacy wins hands down every time. I think that's the problem, and that's where the joy has been depleted. We're living life for ourselves. But what if it's not about us? What if it is about the next generation? What if it is about a legacy that will be left, that will do even more than we ever thought about doing? And I wish I could tell you that I'm a wonderful, courageous woman. I'm not in and of myself. But I did find grace. And I found hope in the middle of a really hopeless situation to say, you know what? Life is a gift. And in the middle of all the tragedy that we face, we can make the best of this. We can learn to work together as a team. And I tell my children all the time, you were born on purpose, with purpose, for a purpose.
Oh, would you repeat that?
I tell my children, you were born on purpose, with purpose, for a purpose. And Tamara, I have a brand new book that will be released in 2015, and it really talks about that. Most people think that they're stuck. And I want to say, you're seeing that all wrong. You're not stuck in your job. You're not stuck in your state. You're not stuck in that family. You're not stuck with all those losses of yesterday. No, you've been positioned. And the moment you understand that you've been positioned, you'll live life totally differently. Everyone you meet will have value. The opportunities, the surprises. See, most people, they've got their head down, just walking through life, feeling like they're stuck and they're bored. Lift your head up, look around you, see the surprises, the divine appointments and interceptions in a day. Maximize your network. And I'm telling you what, you're going to find a joy at the end of the day that I often say for my own life, it's passion that fuels me, but it's purpose that drives me.
We have just 2 minutes left, 3 minutes left, Gail. For all of those who are sitting out there, your how should we say, the thorn that you deal with, losing your sight, is an obvious one. But to others who may have issues, whether it's an emotional obstacle for them, it's the clouds that they see that we've talked about, what would you say to the others out there, no matter what it is, what their handicap, if you will, that's stopping them from moving forward? Give us that boost off that 50-yard line.
Well, first of all, I would speak to leaders. I love people, but my passion's leaders. And to each leader out there, I would say that the disability that you've been walking in is no vision. And it's time today to stand up and see beyond what you can see with the natural eye and begin to live with vision. And to everyone else, in fact, the truth of the matter is everyone's a leader. Someone's following you.
It's true.
And I want to say to you, it's time now to stand up and really capture your life, to say, you know what, this isn't an accident that I'm here. This is the time that I've been given in my generation, this culture. And go on, show up in life and make a difference. Whether it's a smile, whether it's being friendly, whether it's taking on a new position, maybe it's putting your dreams back on the table to say, you know what, I'm ready to switch this up. I'm ready to make some changes because I've got one life and I'm going to live it with purpose, on purpose. And then the other thing I would say, Tamara, if you would allow me, is to everyone in this audience who's listening today, may I just encourage you, life is never meant to do alone. You have an incredible network, and in fact, you've got a loving God who not only is for you, but all of heaven's cheering you on, going, run this race with all your might. And I say to each of you, may the Lord bless you and keep you, make his face to shine upon you, be gracious unto you, and the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. And also one of my favorite passages that is a comfort every day. I say it now to you, Tamara, and your audience. May he grant your heart's desire and fulfill all your purpose.
Gail McWilliams has been my guest today. She's a friend to me, and as you can tell, a friend to you as well. Gail said something I want you to think about. You never have to be alone. As long as we have Jesus Christ to turn to, and if you've never turned to him, I would invite you just to cry out the name. Say the name. Ask him to show you his plan for your life today. Ask him into your heart to forgive you of your sins, and you will certainly see a better way. That vision that Gail has talked to us about. Again, I thank Webcast One Live for making this possible, and Crave for making it doable for us to be here with you today. And I tell you, be encouraged, never be complacent.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed, fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money-back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're gonna make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money-back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
Restoring hope, open my heart to sing, taking the darkness inside, revealing your light, restoring hope.
And thanks for joining us. I am Tamara Scott. We thank Mac for sharing his airtime with us, and we thank our guest, Linda Harvey, for joining us today. Linda is the founder of MissionAmerica.com, and for, many, many years, I think over a decade now, she's been talking and giving her keen insight on cultural events and just situations and movements and those influences upon our children, keeping our children safe. And also, she's been doing a great job of forecasting what we need next to be concerned about, what's coming down the path. And she's been quite accurate, because I know I've interviewed her, boy, I don't know if it's been nearly a decade now or not. And I remember sitting back 3 studios ago talking about the threat coming to our kids, their safety physically, as someone of a different gender will be allowed to come into the restroom because simply they choose a preference over a biological planning that day. And now we're seeing that. Actually, that's spurring on even more problems beyond the public schools and into the public square. And pastors are being ridiculed over that and threatened with subpoenas for speaking out against it in Houston with the homosexual activist, Mayor Anise Parker, so in Houston. So we will look forward to talking to Linda. I want to first thank Mac for sharing his airtime with me. His portion of the show on Restoring Hope usually deals with those personal issues, grooming ourselves with lifestyle habits that are healthy and recovering from addictions and unhealthy behaviors. I usually deal with it on our nation, giving us hope once again in America and restoring America to the place she once was, and giving us the tools to tackle the tough topics of the day so we can find solutions. You first have to address the problem before you can find a solution to the problem. And so we talk about the headlines when they hit home and give you help. We help you live God's Word in today's world. And so I'm thankful to Crave Ministries, Christians for America, for coming alongside and making it possible for us to be on the air with you, Christians for America. We thank Webcast One Live for powering us on our show. If you ever want to hear a broadcast in its entirety, you may do so at tamarascottlive.com. Tamara Scott Live. You can go onto YouTube, Tamara Scott Live, and watch any of the archives. We deal with several issues: Common Core, Iowa Core, the APUSH, Advanced Placement, U.S. History being revamped in not such a friendly manner. We talk about any issue happening today in the public square and how it impacts you and what you can do about it. You can find us on Facebook, Truth for Our Time on Facebook. And you can always watch live when we do this show online Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m. You can join us live in the conversations Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m. Central Time, webcastonelive.com. And we thank Webcast One Live for allowing us the studio time. Linda Harvey, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, thanks for having me on, Tamara.
I know that I think you started Mission America. I'm not saying that right. And my mouse pad went out on me right before the show, so I'm laughing about that. But yeah, it's Mission America. You started this, what, in 96?
95.
95.
Actually. It's been almost 20 years next year.
Okay. And so I know I've interviewed you, oh, golly, around, this sounds horrible, around the turn of the century.
Yes. That's right. That's right.
It's
been many years. I've known you for, I think, almost 15 to 20 years of that. Yeah.
I know. So appreciate the writings that you do, and I'm not in any way exaggerating. You've had a keen insight on this for some time. You and I first started talking about witchcraft, the threats to our kids there, and it wasn't just a game they were playing. And of course, at the particular time we were talking, there were all kinds of shows. They're still on today. Supernatural. They deal with everything but reality.
Right, right. And, this is the Halloween time of the year when I always try to make my case to Christians that, we shouldn't be like the culture. We should really think about this. Halloween is not friendly to anything godly. It's, it's all about parties and fun and candy, but that's not all lighthearted. There are dark spiritual forces behind it. And I think we really have to step back and say, what am I willing to do to protect my children, or am I just going to send them out into this whatever that's going on as even their trick or treating? I know it sounds weird and fundamentalist, but however, if you are a true Christian, you understand the force of the demonic and that it can make little kids afraid, and they won't know why. And we just can't. We need to protect our children from those kinds of things.
And, you know, it took me a while to figure it out, and it was very hard to not trick or treat with my kids. We never went door to door because we didn't live in town, but we would go with family members, and our costumes were never the vile death, you know, the horrible costumes. They were always fun and in a theme, and I sewed them, and we just had a blast. And of course, we usually went to family homes and ended up probably praying before we left, or they'd bless my kids before they left, and it was just a wonderful time. But what you are saying is so correct, and we've seen it coming out more and more, to the point where I know one time I asked you about the adults. It wasn't just for kids anymore. Halloween was now an adult holiday, as if adults were trying to escape reality. The costumes, the fantasy. It's just so strange. Of course, now we see the gaming and the video avatars. We've just lost all reality as adults, I think. And it's strange to me. We're so paralyzed in how we can help ourselves make our lives better, but we escape rather than dealing with the issues.
Well, and, you know, I think we have to look at a couple of big things. First of all, Halloween, October 31st, is still the highest, quote-unquote, sacred day for practicing pagans and witches. And there are more and more of these folks, and they're coming out of the closet, so to speak. And so when you realize that, then you realize that God is kind of absent, even if it's fun and games. And the other thing is, little children trick-or-treat, dress in nice costumes, okay. I understand all that. As they age and they've gotten into the Halloween habit, as they get into their teen years, it becomes parties. It becomes fortune-telling. It becomes girls in extremely skimpy outfits. Satan loves all this, by the way. It becomes drugs and alcohol, and they get into the college scene, and it's just off the chart. At what point do we say, oh, no, wait, Halloween, we don't want you to do that? I think you have to think ahead and see where this is going. I went to shopping recently at a big department store. All of their Christmas decorations were out, and I'm kind of looking through the Christmas decorations a little early, I know. Then I looked to the side, and a third of the space was Halloween decorations. It is now the number two holiday behind Christmas for parties, celebrations, decorations, costumes, and even decorating your home. And how did that happen? It happened because we're laughing at this. We're saying, oh, it's just a big party. It's no big deal. No, behind it is a big deal.
I'm tweeting out as I'm talking to you, and I was figuring out what I would tweet, Linda, because you know it will just raise all the anti-family, anti-pro-life groups out there. And I was just going to say that we're talking about turning kids into allies of anti-godly behavior. What do you think? That's going to light it up out there?
It might, because we did just talk about, you know, one of the articles I wrote was not related to Halloween, but it is teaching our kids to be allies to the LGBT, quote unquote, agenda. And that, by the way, that the lesbian and gay and bisexual and transgender folks are big, big advocates of Halloween because, again, it does escape reality. So, yes, I think that'd be a good tweet.
Just put it out there, so expect the harassment to start soon. Okay, you just kind of brought the segue together. They do seem to go hand in hand, and I'm not trying to be ornery. You're not trying to be ornery. We're not trying to cause anyone harm. But why then are they pushing and limiting and so intolerant of what we believe as Christians, and even promoting and recruiting our children?
Right. One of the biggest things I think out there, and again, we go back to the big picture, is the spiritual darkness that is in our culture, and it is descending fast. And it's rooted in ignorance. I mean, people reject Jesus Christ. They reject God often when they don't know hardly anything about him. They believe they know. They think they know what this is all about and that it's not worth pursuing. So they go off, and then they're just enticed by all the deception of the world, and that includes an awful lot of sexual and spiritual and behavioral nonsense and harm to people, to yourself and others. And, you know, that's what's happening. The unchurched folks, they're out there, they're flirting with all this, you know, all this occult spirituality. They're flirting with sexuality in all directions. They're even, you know, denying who they are as male and female. You you're in a really, really strange place when you do that. It's all, I would have to say, if I were to put one word on what's happening, the word is phony. It is all phony. It is not how God made you to be. The sexuality, the gender, the spirituality, you're away from God, you're away from who you are. The whole thing is artificial and phony. And if you want true meaning and true connection with who you are, and a feeling of being truly grounded and truly where God wants you to be, then reconnect and believe in the Lord Jesus, read Scripture and believe it, and learn from other Christians. And there's so much out there that is so beautiful, so full of life, and so different than our world is taking so many folks. And our kids are really the big target. They're really the big target right now.
I'm laughing, Linda, as I'm doing this. My tweet is not being allowed. There are errors popping up. I'm curious. I may start experimenting while we're doing this show. I may start experimenting. I'll either leave your name off or missionamerica.com off and see which one is the fatal problem. But I'm not surprised by this, and I know you're not either.
Yeah. Well, we're getting censored everywhere, and the Houston situation is a perfect one. And I think, again, this is the ignorance that I think is out there. Anise Parker, mayor of Houston, apparently, and her city council down there, had no idea the kind of reaction that would be stimulated. I mean, can you imagine not understanding how many people in this country are aware of how the homosexual lobby is trying to shut off free speech, and how many of us would jump on something like that and go, stop, time out, not true, not fair, unjust. But she evidently had no idea. And so now they're backpedaling like crazy, but it's turned into quite a rallying cry, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. And here's the deal. In time, it might not have raised such ire because they have been working so hard to silence those of us who disagree. They have worked so hard to teach our children that if they think anything other than this particular lifestyle and promoting it and going along with it, that they're the problem, that they have an issue. And so in time, it might not have, but she was premature, and it should raise the ire, because in America, and here's the other thing, so many people feel like certainly these pastors possibly have done something more egregious than just simply going out against this bathroom gender bill. Because in America, we've never had somebody attack our freedoms so blatantly. We just assume they must be doing something wrong. They are not. They have not done anything wrong. They are doing what they're called to do and what this country was founded upon as a freedom to allow people to do.
And if they're preaching against gender change, against the legalization of this, and against homosexuality, that is the most positive message a pastor can be sending today. One of the most. I mean, it's not the only one, obviously, the entire gospel. But many pastors are self-censoring on that issue. They leave that portion of the gospel out when it is critically important to take a stand, push back against the darkness today, and to tell people, no, this is how God made you, and isn't it wonderful? Isn't it wonderful? And let's grab on to that, and let's reject all of this life-altering and this really death-involved, these lifestyles that send you down a road that is dark and is not full of life and is not beautiful and is not how God created you. And to enact policies that go that way defies, forget religion even, defies social science research, health research, public stability research, anything you can find that is research about how lifestyles affect people. Those all go against it. There's a lot of people trying to deny that those things are out there, that those facts and that research is out there, but it is out there.
So, and you and I both know they want to silence truth, because when truth is spoken, it wins. When truth is spoken, clarity is revealed. Right. And so this is why they're trying so hard to silence us. And I participated in the Family Research Council simulcast a couple weeks ago, and someone made this statement, and I thought it was extremely wise. In the Middle East, truth is being silenced by the sword. In America, the sword is silence.
Wow. Well, and at some point, this is the thing I think people are not getting about this. The folks that are so eager to shut out the truth and the value of the truth on this issue, they themselves are going to suffer so much. Eventually, the animosity to the truth may get to the point of the sword in this country because of the way these folks are. They just hate the gospel. And I think Americans are, like you said when you started your program, or the end of the last show, never be complacent. This is our biggest weakness here in America. We believe that it's always going to be this way. That is not true. History shows that if we don't preserve our liberties and our freedoms based in the truth and Judeo-Christian values, they will be gone. There are people who, and they won't even know what's manipulating them as they go down this road. They will, if possible, use force to silence this. That's where this would eventually go. And people need to wake up that we need to preserve peace in this country, and peace comes through religious liberty.
So I'm trying this tweet now, Linda. Making kids allies of darkness and enemies of truth in school. We'll just see if that goes. I didn't tag you. I put Linda Harvey and I put Mission America, but I didn't tag you in it. So we'll see if that goes. Let's come back to the article you wrote, Making Kids Allies in the Public School. You were the one who brought out a day of silence to us, let parents know what was happening in the public schools that way. You are the one that brought out so many of these movements, exposed them for what they were. And on your article, people can find this article at barbedwire.com. Linda Harvey, you can also go to the website missionamerica.com. I would just invite you to go to missionamerica.com and browse through a lot of different articles. But take us through this one on making our kids allies.
Well, it was really a week ago, the way this was designated to be, but some parents may still find that their schools are observing this, something called Ally Week. In many schools, that it's a pro-homosexual, pro-transgender, that is gender confusion week, and it's trying to it's an idea of the Gay, Lesbian, and Straight Education Network, GLSEN, which is a major homosexual organization with $6 million a year, by the way, annual budget to spend on this kind of stuff, promote homosexuality to kids and try to get kids who are not inclined toward homosexuality, who are not inclined toward gender confusion, to become alongside and be allies of those kids who are. And when you hear that as a Christian, you think, oh, well, we should be compassionate for people. Of course, this goes way beyond that. And this is where discernment comes in. They are asking kids who are not involved in those things to come to the defense of those lifestyles, behaviors, and choices against any opposing opinion. They use the idea of bullying. And yes, bullying is out there, and those kids are sometimes vulnerable to bullying. However, schools can punish bullying without endorsing homosexuality or gender confusion.
Absolutely. And I want to clarify there, Linda, we have books and studies that say the more we have bullying programs in public schools, bullying increases. Peer-to-peer victimization increases. So that is not the way to do it. And what it does do is it sexualizes the children.
Right. And what they're saying is you need to come up against GLBT or LGBT, I guess it is now, anti-LGBT language and slurs. Well, they think anybody, like a Christian, that says, I don't believe homosexuality is the right lifestyle because I think it's a sin because of my religion, to glisten and the premises of these weeks and these celebrations in school, and this is not the only one, this Ally Week, they think that's bullying. There are teachers that have yelled and kicked kids out of class for simply answering a question, not even bringing it up themselves, but students who were asked by the teacher, what do you think? They answered the question in the way I just said. They were kicked out of class, and one court case in Michigan went all the way up the chain of court cases in Michigan, and the student and his family won against this very aggressive teacher who called his religious belief opinion that he was asked to voice bullying. So we need to come alongside our kids and teach them what a real ally is. It's being kind. It's being compassionate. It is never endorsing sin,
which would be bullying or mistreatment or disrespect in any other form. But you touched on it. Our silence is now being criticized as condemning. And so if we don't simply go along and verse approval, now we're in trouble there as well, whether it's pastors in Houston who did speak out, rightfully so, or a student who maybe hasn't, or an employee. We have students facing detention and correction in schools. We have employees who either don't get a promotion, they're demoted, or sometimes fired or forced to go through sensitivity training. Linda, if we could just have real discussion on the issue, if we were just simply allowed to have truthful, honest discussion on the issue, I don't think anybody would fear that, and I think it would be welcome. But the truth is, we haven't been allowed to share the truth on this for quite some time.
No, we haven't. And you're right. Truthful discussion would be helpful all across the board, and it is not hateful. It is hopeful. The challenge, of course, is that truthful discussion would be to say no one ever needs to be involved in homosexuality. Nobody's born that way. There's no research that way, and you can change. And we should be saying people should change. And that's the standard we should be saying. And, you can believe it or not. People can buy that or not. But that's what all the public health, all the social science comes down on the side of. They refuse to do this because of our sexually gluttonous society all across the board. We are afraid to say the word should on better and worse sexual behavior. And it's costing us from the abortion issue to this issue. And now even our kids are being confused about male or female. I mean, it's costing us, and our children are the ones who are going to suffer.
Linda Harvey is my guest with missionamerica.com, and I would invite you to go to that website for resources, for help. And Linda, people, if they have a question for you, can they email you for help?
They certainly can. My email is lpharvey@missionamerica.com, and I would also like to put in a quick note about my book, which is written especially for youth. It's called Maybe He's Not Gay, Another View on Homosexuality. And that's for anybody who wants a little bit more in-depth on this.
Should we see if these are allowed in the public school libraries?
Yes. I have put out, and it's on our website at missionamerica.com, instructions of the kind of information you need to give to any librarian so they can order the book. And people have done that, and people are actually ordering these in some cases. So that's the really good news.
Very good. We are out of time. I thank Linda Harvey with Mission America for joining me today, even though Twitter wouldn't let us put it out on the Twitter for whatever reason.
Wow.
And I thank Webcast One Live. If you want an archive of the show, you can find it on Tamara Scott Live on YouTube. You can always contact us on Truth for Our Time on the Facebook page. Thanks for joining us. Be encouraged and never be complacent. This is your time in history. God puts you on this earth, this location, this time to make a difference. So go mad and make that difference. Make a difference today.